Welcome to the Weather Farm. We're going to give you your weekend forecast here just coming up. But as we begin our Friday morning, we're going to watch an area of showers across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, into Missouri. A rumble or two of thunder can't be ruled out as we begin our Friday morning. Across the northern plains, we're watching snow into the arrowhead of Minnesota, with snow stretching into the UP of Michigan. Across parts of Wisconsin, though, you're probably going to stay more in the rain. Rhinelander down towards Sheboygan, Green Bay. Probably some scattered rain to begin your Friday morning. We are watching an area of low pressure that's making its way out of Ontario into Quebec. Up towards Hudson Bay, it is bringing some light snow showers, but down to the south across parts of far northern New England into the eastern Quebec, we are seeing rain showers. So let's put our maps into motion for our Friday, and we're going to watch that system across the deep south, across parts of Texas. By the time we get to about 8 or 9 o'clock, on Friday night, we could see a line of thunderstorms developing, stretching from near Dallas all the way up towards Nashville. This area is going to be something that we're going to watch. We don't expect tornadoes or significant storms with this event. Likely it's just going to be strong winds and hail, but this is going to be something that we are going to watch. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has gone ahead and issued a level 1, level 2 risk of severe weather for most of the southeast for our Friday, though they do believe that the greatest chance of severe weather is going to be across parts of southern Oklahoma down into south central Texas. We're going to have to continue to watch this for further development on our Friday. I do think that this area of concern does need to shift more towards Louisiana and into Arkansas. But again, we're going to see how the atmosphere develops on our Friday and go from there. So as we go back and we continue to put our map into motion, we're going to watch that area of scattered storms kind of develop. And by the time we wake up on our Saturday morning, we could see rain falling across parts of Mississippi and Alabama. We are watching an area of low pressure that's going to be near Louisville, Kentucky to begin our Saturday morning. And that low pressure is just going to kind of sit and spin across the Ohio Valley for the next several days. We kind of see it wobbling here all over the place. What is this going to allow to do is we're going to have a constant chance of precipitation through the Ohio Valley Saturday, Sunday, and into early next week. And we can see this clearly with our jet stream as we begin our Friday morning. We see this nice buckle here across the northern plains stretching over towards Michigan. So we see this little dip in the jet stream with a strong ridge out west, which is providing warm weather out for the west coast. But let's watch this jet stream as it goes through. We start to see the main branch start to take another path, become more zonal across Hudson Bay, where we see this area of this trough kind of getting cut off. Still has a lot of energy and a lot of winds out in the exit region of the jet stream, but watch as we continue to go into our Saturday morning. That continues to dig, and then it completely gets cut off. We see this classic bowling ball shape by the time we get to Saturday night into early Sunday morning. The main jet is well to the north, bringing warm weather across the central plains with a trough digging in the west, an area of low pressure coming onto the California coast. But this low pressure system here, centered near Evansville, Indiana, is going to get cut off, and it's going to continue to sit, and we're going to watch it spin there for several days. Here we are into our Monday, still spinning in the same general area. We watch this next trough out across parts of Arizona. That's going to be a mechanism that's going to eventually bump this out, but we're then going to watch this area of low pressure as it meanders to the east. And for late next week, we believe that we could see another cutoff low meandering across the southeast, providing a daily chance of rain for that area. So let's continue to watch this in motion. Here by Monday afternoon, we're still seeing that low pressure across the Ohio Valley. But by Tuesday, we start to see it nudging off as we see another trough digging across the west. And we're going to watch this, and it's going to kind of get just stuck here across the central plains. The jet stream is well to the north. We see a huge ridge across most of the United States. But this area of low pressure, this little buckle here, is going to kind of just meander across the southeast as we get towards next weekend. And we kind of can see that here also as we go into next week. We see that area of scattered precipitation across the Ohio Valley, even a little cool air pocket developing by the time we get to Monday morning. And it's just going to sit and spin and provide precipitation. And here comes that next low out of the Four Corners region into Texas. So by the time we get to Monday night into Tuesday, we could see severe storms in the Texas Panhandle. And we're going to watch that for Tuesday afternoon for potential of a severe weather outbreak from Kansas down through Oklahoma down towards Texas. So we're going to continue to watch that. That area of low pressure is going to get bumped out into the northeast while we see snow flying across the Intermountain West. But as we go into the second half of next week, we're going to see a daily chance of scattered showers and storms here across the southeast. And it isn't until we get towards Mother's Day weekend that models are wanting to hint at some kind of development of a storm system in the Tennessee Valley. Still over a week away, a lot to watch, but we're going to keep an eye on that as the model runs to develop. But jumping back to our Friday morning, as we mentioned, we're going to see snowfall across the northern parts of the United States. So up in the Arrowhead of Minnesota, you could be waking up to 1 to 3 inches of snow for your Friday. That light snow will continue to move to the UP, and by the time we wake up on our Saturday morning, generally dusting to an inch of snow is expected. In terms of our precipitation across the Ohio Valley into the southeast, we're going to watch where that low pressure just continues to sit and spin. We could see down across parts of Tennessee into Mississippi and northern Alabama a good pocket of 2 to 4 inches of rain by the time we get to Saturday evening. Up through central Kentucky, most of Tennessee, 1 inch of rain is likely. But as we continue to let that low pressure system just sit and spin, we're going to get that counterclockwise motion. That's going to bring rain up through Ohio, back to Indiana, and into Illinois. So by the time we wake up and we end up on the weekend, we could see 1 inch of rain across this area. And we're just going to continue to add as that low pressure just sits and spins. And then we watch the next system as we get toward the middle of next week bring heavy rains down through Arkansas, Louisiana, and into Texas. Well, in terms of our temperatures, we're going to see cool temperatures across the northern plains, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Temperatures are going to be held down near 40 degrees, but the warmth is out west with that strong ridge that is building across the western half as that jet stream dips across the Great Lakes. But elsewhere, it's 60s and 70s for most of the United States. And as we go into our Saturday, we're going to see cooler weather across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes. That's associated with that cutoff low. Temperatures held down in the 50s, but we're going to see 80s surging all the way up into northern Alberta. The Pacific Northwest, you are going to start to cool down just a little bit for this weekend. And we really see that as we get into our Sunday, as that next low pressure trough digs in across the west down towards Arizona, strong warming across the central plains into the Canadian prairies, and we still see the remnants of that cutoff low with temperatures being held down in the 40s across most of Indiana and Michigan for our Sunday. So let's take a look region by region. So here in the Northeast on our Friday, we're going to see generally warm temperatures east of the Appalachians, even back through Ohio into the Ohio Valley. We're seeing temperatures in the 60s and 70s. As we go into our Saturday, we see that cooler air making its way into Ohio, Kentucky, into West Virginia, but still east of the Appalachian Mountains along the coast. This is going to be great weather for you to get out and enjoy your Saturday. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. As we get down to the Carolinas, it's going to be in the 80s. So as we begin our temperatures for our Friday, we're seeing cooler weather across the panhandle of Texas. Temperatures in the 60s, as well as most of Oklahoma. Down along the Gulf Coast, that's where we see those warm temperatures in the 80s, making their way over towards Louisiana and into Mississippi. As we go into our Saturday, the warmth builds back across the south central plains, temperatures warming in the 70s and 80s. And as we go into our Sunday, we're seeing warm temperatures again. Far western Texas, you could be flirting in the 90s by the time we get to Sunday for your high temperatures. Across the northern plains, we're going to see temperatures where that snowfall is falling across the Arrowhead into Wisconsin and UP, 30s and 40s. Out across the Dakotas, 50s and 60s, but that warmth is lurking across parts of Montana with temperatures in the 70s for our Friday. That warmth spreads east. We see widespread 70s and 80s across the Dakotas and Montana, 50s and 60s across Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, and that warmth continues to spread. We're now talking mid-80s into Montana, southern parts of Saskatchewan, and 60s and 70s across much of the northern plains. Going out to the southwest, we're going to see warm temperatures for our Friday. The deserts, you're going to be in the 90s, approaching 100. Even in Southern California, it's going to be a great day if you have a chance to get off of work early. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s. But by the time we get to Saturday, we're going to start to see that trough digging in. Northern California, your temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler. Same for northwestern Nevada. And then by our Sunday, we're seeing a real cool down across the southwest with temperatures in Las Vegas approaching 60 degrees for your afternoon highs. And then looking in the Pacific Northwest, we see that warmth there for our Friday. But as we move into our Saturday, we're going to watch those temperatures dive. Highs in the 40s and 50s across parts of Washington and Oregon. And that continues into our Sunday. Temperatures generally in the 50s. Across parts of Idaho, you're going to be held a little bit cooler in those higher mountainous regions. Jumping up to Alaska, we are getting ready for a weekend that's going to feature light rain along the southern coast with snow in those higher elevations. But we are watching a storm that's going to make its way towards the Kenai Peninsula as we get into the start of next week. And we see that low developing here at a 983 millibar low by the time we get to Sunday afternoon. And look at these tight pressure lines. That's going to create quite the wind field with this particular low pressure system. And we're going to see that continue to get wrapped up, bringing snow and rain. But I want to point out some of these wind gusts. So as we get towards Friday into Saturday, the winds aren't too bad along the southern coast, generally less than 20 miles per hour. But as that low pressure starts to get closer, and you can really see it, it almost looks like with this counterclockwise circulation, like a mid-latitude cyclone. And we're going to see those wind gusts as we get out towards the southern part of Alaska. We are going to see wind gusts approaching 40 to 50 miles per hour. And those winds are going to continue to strengthen as we go into Sunday night into Monday. Out towards Good News Bay, you're approaching 35 miles per hour for your wind gusts. But in those higher mountainous regions like near King Salmon, you could be approaching 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts. And those winds are going to continue to blow throughout the day on our Monday, relaxing a bit by the time we get to Tuesday, and that low pressure moves a little bit further away from the coast. But definitely a windy situation in store for most of Alaska to begin the new work week. Well, we thank you for joining us here at the Weather Farm. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Check back again with us early next week, and we will bring you the latest information for the weather impacting the United States.